Welcome everyone to this new episode of Heavy Forehands with Toro. I hope you guys like this new intro I was working on. It's still a work in progress. I'm still getting better. Content creation is a new skill that I'm working on. Hopefully, we can continue learning together. But man, I love the clapping towards the end. It gets me hype. It gets me energized to start talking about tennis. And yeah, let's jump right into it. But before, first of all, I just want to say thank you all to the people, to the listeners that listened to my first episode when I was talking about the Wimbledon final where Carlitos Alcaraz beat Novak Djokovic. And I already received some great feedback that I plan to incorporate into these new upcoming episodes. And one of the questions that I received was, Felipe, why don't you speak about yourself? Tell us about you. Tell us about your background. And, and yeah, I just didn't want to go off topic. Like the plan of the podcast, the goal of the podcast is to speak about the professional tour level, talk about the tournaments, news, results, and any trends at the professional tour level. That's why I haven't shared much about myself. But if you guys want the quick 1 minute intro, the elevator pitch, as we say in finance, I can give you the background. So yes, I played tennis since I was 8 years old. I'm 24 right now, so 16 years into the sport, and I still love it. I still play it. When I was 10 years old, I started playing tournaments more often, and since I was 10 until I was 18 years old, I play the grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 in Argentina, and I also traveled quite a bit throughout South America. I think I went to each country in South America. And yeah, had a lot of fun. And when I was 18 years old, I came to the States and played college tennis for Utah State. And we did pretty well. We were top 50 in the nation in a couple of years. And I graduated back in May 22. Also, before that, I spent some summers playing futures, and I got a couple of ATP points, which was really fun as well. But now I'm pretty much removed from the sport. I work in finance, and but I still play tennis often. I'm a tennis fanatic. I still watch all the tournaments and and play maybe 5 or 6 times a week actually. So try to stay in shape. And yeah, that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because since I still love tennis and I still watch most of the major tournaments, I wanted to give my opinion. I wanted to give my point of view about the sport. But happy to dive in more if any of you guys want me to expand on any of the points that I just talked about. Just please let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram, and I will talk about it in the next episodes. So now, yeah, let's jump into this new episode and let's talk about this wonderful sport that tennis is. All right, guys, in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing three ATP tournaments. We're going to get started with the final of the Bastad tournament, or the Nordia Open. I'm for sure mispronouncing the word Bastad, so please, to my Swedish buddies, please correct my pronunciation. And the second tournament we're going to be discussing is going to be the Gstaad tournament that is played in Switzerland. And then we're going to be closing out this week's episode with the tournament in Newport, which is considered the Forgotten Grass tournament. I'm considered an important tournament because there is a lot of tradition, but many tennis fans think that it's kind of unnecessary for the players, given that the main tournament event in grass is Wimbledon and was completed last week. But still, it's important for the American people. It's important for players that have a big serve and maybe they play serve and volley, so they get stronger in this surface. So, okay, guys, let's jump right into it. All right, guys, let's get going. Let's discuss this first tournament, the final in Bastad, Sweden, where Andre Rublev played against Casper Ruud. Andre Rublev, on the way to the final, beat Francisco Cerúndolo on a really tight semi-final matchup, where he beat a fellow Argentinian 6-3 in the third set. I'm sad for Fran. He had a couple of chances on that third set. But Andre is a really good player, and Fran continues to have this great season in 2023. On the other side of the draw, we had Casper Ruud beating Lorenzo Musetti in straight sets in an easier match for him than Andres semifinals. Going into this final, I had Casper um, as the favorite. Going into this final, I had Casper as the favorite. He made the finals in the French Open and always in clay. He gets so much stronger. He has that heavy forehand that he can hit and push all the other players around. And despite not being having the best 2023 calendar year so far, the last clay court event he played was great. However, on the other side of the table, on the other side of the court, we have Andrei Rublev, who won his first Master 1000 event this year, while beating Rune in the final of the Monte Carlo event tournament. So it is a great final. It's the number 4 in the world, Casper Ruud, against Andrei Rublev, number 7 in the world, and both of them they have kind of like a similar game style, meaning that they both like to hit with their forehand and being aggressive and move the player around. They're considered aggressive baseliners, but I would say that Casper had that a little more spin into his ball and try to hit a little bit higher over the net. However, Rublev stays a little closer to the baseline and hits the ball flatter through the court. And for the conditions that we had today, Sunday, it was raining, so that makes the court a little bit slower. There was still a lot of humidity after the rain, so that makes the ball bounce slower and slower. That makes a shot that is hit through the court a little bit better for these conditions. For the clay courters that like to hit spin, they prefer when it's sunny out there and the courts are really dry, so the ball kind of like reacts a lot, and that's kind of like the favorite condition for Casper Ruud. That's something that happens when they play on the French Open. The summer is starting and it's usually really sunny, so that's why he plays usually really well on the French. So right from the get-go, the conditions were better for Andrei Rublev. However, these players they can adapt. So Casper still was a favorite for this matchup, being the number 4 in the world. Early in the match, early in the first set, we see Rublev being a little more aggressive than Casper. He was playing closer to the baseline and taking advantage of that ball that wasn't bouncing as high. And Rublev played really well on the backhand side. He's usually the guy who has the first chance to go around and hit a forehand. He usually takes that chance. But in this instance, he was able to change down the line with the backhand really well. And that put Casper Ruud out of position because he usually stands in the middle of the court and one step toward his left. And that gives him the opportunity to go around and hit that inside in and that inside out forehand. But in this instance, by hitting that backhand down the line, Rublev was able to put Ruud out of position and take the initiative of the point. The first set was really tight. They get to the breaker, and Andrei Rublev played a little more aggressive on that breaker and gets the breaker and the set for 7-6. And the second set, Andrei Rublev plays lights out. He played unbelievable tennis. He played amazing. He continued to be aggressive both on the forehand and the backhand. And because he was hitting the ball really big, maybe even more than he usually does, he was having the opportunity to play closer to the baseline and push Casper Ruud back. We gave him the chance to even hit drop shots. He's usually the kind of guy who tries to overhit the other player, but in this instance, because he was closer to the baseline and Casper was behind the baseline, he was able to hit some drop shots and mix up his game style a little bit. Andreev broke really early on that second set, and Ruud didn't play badly, but he didn't adjust his game. I would say that he continued to be the defensive player throughout that second set, and Andrei Rublev continued to get stronger and stronger and beat Ruud 6-0 on that second set. So it was 7-6, 6-0 for Andrei Rublev to win the Bastad Open, the Nordea Open. which is a tournament who he previously won in 2021. So good for him on getting that title again. Congrats to both players. Congrats to the finalists, Casper, who is having a great year, and Andre, who continues to have a great year. And both of the players, they continue to consolidate as the next gen, as the solid top 10 players. Both of the players are now going to go and play in Hamburg, Germany. So it's going to be a really quick turnaround. They must be taking the plane right now, or they must be already there in Germany and trying to maybe get a hit in before their first round match. Rublev is going to be playing Zapata Miralles from Spain, who is having a really great year, getting into the top 100 in the world. And Casper Ruud is going to be playing Seba Baez from Argentina, which hopefully Seba can play against a Ruud that is tired from playing several matches this week, and hopefully Seba can get a win. So that's pretty much it about the Bastad Open, where Rublev won the tournament. Let's move on to the Gstaad Open, which is played in Switzerland. In the final, we had Pedro Cachin from Argentina, another fellow Argentinian, against Albert Ramos Viñolas. A clay court grinder, has been on the tour for several years now, and he's always dangerous when they play on clay court. Pedro Cachin continues to be having the best year of his career so far. He's top 100 in the world. In this tournament, he beat Roberto Bautista Agut. That's his best career win so far. And he also beat the Serbian player Medjedovic. Please, for my Serbian friends, please correct my pronunciation. I'm sure that I mispronounced that word, that last name. And on the other side of the draw, we have Albert Ramos Viñolas, who beat another Serbian player. In this case, Ketmanovic. So going into this final, I would say Albert was the favorite. He had played multiple finals on clay court, and Pedro Cachin was the first final in this instance, in an ATP 250 event. However, Pedro is having the best year of his career so far, so he was reaching this match with all the confidence he could get. And in terms of game style, they are both clay courters. Albert Ramos Viñola he's a lefty, so he has a really good cross-court forehand. He has kind of like that whip that he makes the ball bounce high on the backhand side of a righty player. And on the other side, you have Pedro, who is really versatile. Actually, he can make a lot of balls, and he has both a good backhand and a good forehand. He has a really open grip on the forehand side, but he can still hit it heavy. And when he gets close to the court, he can flatten the shot out. And once he starts getting closer to the baseline, he can hit drop shots, he come to the net and mix up the pace, and mix up his game a little bit. So it was going to be an interesting match, and it's going to be a classic match where rallies was going to be kind of long, a classic clay court grind that we all like. Early in the first set, Ramos Viñolas was playing more aggressive than Pedro. Instead of hitting that heavy forehand, he was more stepping in and hitting closer to the net. He was ripping that forehand and putting Pedro Cachin out of position. Pedro couldn't get in position and try to hit his forehand towards the backhand of Ramos. Ramos was going around, and from the middle, he was getting ready to hit that forehand and rip the ball and being aggressive. And Pedro couldn't adjust quickly. So the first set was for Ramos Viñolas, 6-3. But in the second set, Pedro adjusted his game. He started being more aggressive. And Albert Viñolas started missing those forehands, and he started missing kind of like wild misses, meaning it wasn't like a 10-centimeter miss. It was more like half a meter out, and that's because he was kind of like overplaying early on that second set. And Pedro started gaining more confidence. He broke early on that second set and continued stepping his game. Like I said, he likes to hit a couple balls from the baseline, but as soon as he has a chance, he's able to flatten out his shots and also hit drop shots and come in. So he did that in the second set and took the set 6-0, which was kind of unexpected on this in this final. After Albert won that first set, I thought he would be taking the title home. I was, of course, supporting Pedro Cachin, another fellow Argentinian, and good for him. That's the way to battle out. That's the way to show consistency, show some persistence, and take the match to the third set. That momentum of the second set continued into that third set. Pedro Cachin broke early on Alvarez Ramos Viñola's serve and held serve and continue. Both of the players continued to hold serve in the third set until Pedro Cachin is up 4-2, and that's the position you're gonna be. He's up 4-2 and he's receiving, so he can kind of like go big on this game and try to get a second break and go up 5-2 and close out for his first ATP 250 title. So he was in the position he wanted to be. However, Ramos Vinolas, as a good grinder that he is, he continued to fight. He held serve there, and then he noticed that there were some nerves on Pedro Cachin's mind. The next game, Pedro was serving 4-3, and at 15 all, Pedro hit a really bad drop shot. Bad meaning that Albert Ramos running to the ball and almost hit a ball in shoulder height. So that kind of drop shot, we all have hit in that drop shot. So it happens to the best of us, right? It happens to the best players like Pedro is. So yeah, Albert realized that maybe Pedro was nervous and broke back and put the score at 4-all. However, Pedro continued to be persistent and continued trying to play that game of pushing Viñolas back, and when having the chance, trying to step in and being aggressive. And he continued to be great. He continued to flatten out his shots when he had the chance in the last couple of games of the third set. Both of the players held serve for 4-all, they went on to 5-all. And here Pedro played a great game. Actually, I remember he hit a big down the line winner with the forehand and went on to break the serve and go to serve 6-5 to close out his first ATP 250 title. And man, he played with great decision on that game. He closed out the match on 40-15. On that match point, on that championship point, he served big on the first serve. Ramos Vinolas returned the ball. He put it on the court, but kind of short. Pedrito Cachin stepped in on the backhand, took it early, and ripped it cross court to close out with a winner his first ATP 250 title. Congrats to Pedro Cachin. Congrats to his team. Congrats also to Albert Ramos, who continued to be a competitive tennis player despite his age. He's over 30 years old already. And both of these players are going to continue playing in the following week. Pedro Cachin is going to be playing in Hamburg, while Albert Ramos Viñolas is going to go and play in Numag. So these players, they don't get a break. They just keep going. So both of them, they're going to have to reset, get the tools that work this past week, try to adjust what didn't work, because even for Pedro, for sure he has things that he wants to improve on, and get ready for that next tournament that is coming. They might be playing tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And Vamos Argentina, that's the third title for the Argentinians this year. Sebastián Baez won in Cordoba this year, and then Francisco Cerúndulo won in Starburn, and now we have Pedro Cachin winning in Gstaad, Switzerland. All right, guys, let's close out this episode of Heavy Forehands with Toro, with the last tournament to be reviewed, the last final to be reviewed, which is the final play between Alex Michelsen, the youngster, the 18-year-old who played against Adrian Manarino from France, in the Newport Open. Alex Michelsen, like I said, really young player. He's just committed to play University of Georgia, but we'll see if he ends up playing, given that he's been having great results on the tour and also on the Challenger Tour as well. And we have Adrian Manarino. There is not much to say. Everyone knows this player. He has so much experience on the tour. He's 35 years old. He's been, at least for the last 10 years, I believe top 50, top 60 in the world. He had a great career so far, and he's a great grass court player because he has really a really short take back on both swings, but he's the ball in front of him and really flat. So after the bounce, the ball doesn't bounce high. It's just kind of like skids, and it is really tough for these new players that they have like really close grips and they like to hit the ball kind of like heavy with a lot of topspin, and it's really hard to do against Manarino's ball in any surface, and it's even worse on grass. It's just that ball doesn't bounce at all, and Manarino is a really good mover. Despite being 35 years old, he looks like 25. He's really fit. He's really light on his feet. So going into this tournament, both of them they had great matchups, great matches before the final. Alex Michelsen beat a bunch of Americans going into the final. Actually, he beat Maxime Cressy, another college player, McDonald, another college player, and John Isner, another college player. John Isner so John Isner is 38 years old. So the age gap between Alex Michelsen and John Isner is 20 years. That's insane. Look at this battle of the generations of the next gen coming up, and this like classic generation of players that they continue to be solid and continue to be delivering results at the tour level. Also for this final, we're gonna have an age gap of 17 years old, and the favorite I would say was Manarino. Manarino is a grass court player, like I said before. He made the finals in Mallorca, where he lost against Chris Eubanks, American, another college player. This is kind of like a theme that is repeating itself. He lost in the final of the Mallorca Open, but he's always a protagonist. So on Wimbledon, he made fourth round several times. So that's what I put Adrian Marino as the favorite. And finally, I'm right. Finally, I make a good prediction of these matchups. So far in the last, in these two episodes, I haven't been delivering good predictions. So I'm going to get better. I'm usually pretty good at those. And yes, I put experience as the main reason for Manarino to win this match. And really early on, the Frenchman, he put pressure to Alex. Alex felt the pressure of playing his first final ATP 250 event, and Manarino didn't let go early on. He broke the serve twice in that first set, and playing that consistent tennis, but with that rally ball that is really hard to return. And maybe Alex made a couple of mistakes that he wasn't making in these previous rounds. So it was first set 6-2 for Adrian Manarino. Alex, as a good competitor that he is, he tried to find a way on that second set of maybe being more aggressive. He started serving a little bigger in that first game of the second set. He's usually a really good ball striker that makes a lot of balls and mix up the paces. But I think he realized that Adrian Manarino was too comfortable on the rally, so he tried to put a little more pressure in the first ball and second ball of the rally. And that kind of worked actually for Alex. He held serve in the first service game, so he went up 1-0 and then he broke. So that was the dream start in that second set, 2-0 for Alex Michelsen. However, he couldn't consolidate his game. He didn't hold serve, and he let Adrian Manarino to get back on serve. So it was 1-2. From then, both of the players continued to hold serve until they reached the 4-all of that second set, and they played that classic ninth game of a set. It's the famous tennis game where any tennis player, if you are a pro tennis player or amateur player, you want to break on that game and go to serve for the set. And that's exactly what happened. Adrian Manarino broke the serve of Alex and went on to close out the match after at the 5-4, making a lot of first serves and closing out the match 6-4. And this was the third ATP title for Adrian Manarino, which is kind of crazy if you start thinking. He had a fairly decent long career so far. He's been top 100 for maybe 10 plus years or around that, and he only won 3 titles. That speaks about tennis on how tough it is, how competitive. Imagine, imagine maybe the best players, they play 30 to 35 weeks of the year, and maybe they're only the winner on only 1 or 2 weeks. And we're talking about now that Adrian Manarino was only the winner on three times on 3 weeks. But anyways, congrats to Adrian. This is really well deserved. He continues to be in great shape. He continues to be a great grass court player. And I think heading into the U.S. Open Series events, he's going to be an important player there. He's going to put pressure into the big guys. And now on the other side, Alex Michelsen, congrats for him for his first ATP 250 event final. He's going to be a great player. He has a great future ahead of him, no doubt. And I think he shouldn't go and play college tennis. He should go and continue to play the Pro Tour. The main reason is that he already has the level. I think once you reach that level, I think you should continue to be playing these top 100 to 150 players and get into that rhythm, get into that intensity. As he continues to play these better players than him, he's going to raise his bar. He's also relatively small inside. He still has a lot to develop. If he start putting a couple more pounds on his frame, his ball is going to get bigger, his serve is going to get bigger, and he can do like a lot of damage on the tour. And this is not the advice I usually give. I usually tell the average tennis player who is 18, 19 years old, go and play college tennis. And that's what I did. I played college tennis for Utah State, and I always say that was a great experience, and that's usually my advice for the average tennis player. But for Alex, if he goes and play college tennis, he will be the best player on the tour. On the ITA, so he will go into any match and be the player to beat. So he will have to play with a lot of pressure, which is good. But you want to be playing players that are better than you as well. You want to have a nice mix of playing better players than you, playing players on the same level, and playing players that are worse than you. So I think he would not have that balance in college tennis, and he should go and play pro tennis. And yes, guys, this is that's pretty much it about the 3 tournaments. College tennis is a theme that is going to continue to repeat itself. It's going to continue to be heard, and I'm going to be launching an episode about college tennis fairly soon. If there in some of the quiet weeks where there are no tournaments, I'm going to launch an episode about my experience, my advice, why I recommend college tennis as a great alternative. I'm going to be discussing how I got recruited, how were the practices, how were the trainings, what major I chose, what are the options that you have, and also some of the exit opportunities. There are several opportunities to stay in the States, maybe to coach, maybe to get a regular job, or just maybe go back or play professional tennis. So college tennis gives you so many options, and I prefer to dedicate a whole episode to it rather than scramble and get a couple sentences like I'm doing right now and going off topic, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for listening. Listening to me talking about these 3 ATP tournaments that were played this past week. There were also 2 exhibition tournaments played that include the Hoffman Cup that Carlos Alcaraz played that event, like I said before, as well as the Ultimate Tennis Showdown. This is a really interesting event where the rules are different, the format is different, and the fans are way more involved. And despite being an exhibition event, all the players they compete super hard. And yeah, this tournament was this play in LA this past weekend. And I'm gonna be launching an episode, releasing an episode this coming Wednesday or Thursday, only dedicated to the UTS, the Ultimate Tennis Showdown. So please stay tuned. Please keep checking my Instagram where I usually give some updates of the episodes I'm going to be releasing. And I think that's going to be a really interesting one. Anyway, guys, thanks again for listening. The second episode of Heavy Forehands with Toro. Please, guys, continue to give a like. Please subscribe. Leave a comment or provide any type of feedback that you guys see fit. The idea of this podcast is that we continue to be diving into content that the listeners, you guys, the audience like. And, and if you guys provide me any feedback, I'm going to try to incorporate your feedback into my content. And hopefully we keep continue learning about this sport that is beautiful and continue enjoying this sport that will continue growing and is getting better each year. That's pretty much it, guys. So stay tuned for the next coming episodes to be released. Hopefully, this coming Wednesday, as I'm getting better on the editing process, right? And please follow me on social media at Feli Acosta1, and have a great start of the week. Have a good one, guys. Take care.